Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of our weekly reset. Thank you all for joining me tonight. So, before we get into the topic for tonight, I want us to just take a couple of deep breaths just to get our bodies regulated and relaxed and ready to receive what our topic is for tonight. So, how I always start off is just breathing in through your nose, breathing out through your mouth. We'll do it again. Breathe in through your nose, out, and then make sure you're releasing all the tension from your shoulders, your back, and just the whole purpose of this is to release all of the stress and worry that you had from today and just being able to just rest, just release and rest. All right, so we're going to do one more deep inhale and one big exhale. So we're going to inhale through our nose, exhale, and release the tension in your shoulders. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our topic for tonight. So, tonight I want to talk about fight or flight. So, for those of you who do not know what that is, and on my episode last week, I introduced myself and I stated that I was a nurse by trade. So, I learned a lot about fight or flight during nursing school because it has a lot to do with your nervous system, the sympathetic system, and the parasympathetic system. So, it was something that we learned about quite often. So, the fight or flight response is basically a physiological response to stress or any form of threat. So your body will either confront the situation, fight, or you will escape from the situation, flight. So I want to talk about each concept and kind of encourage you to not be in that state all the time because if I'm being honest, the last few months I have been in fight or flight. My shoulders have been very tense. I've been very tired, just all the things that I don't want to be. So I want to start off with fight. So a lot of us, when it comes to work or even our businesses or maybe our children or, finances, we are always prepared for the worst. So, for instance, when you're at work and you get that email, you're instantly in fight mode. Like, why are you sending me this email? Now I got to respond back to this and this and this and this. So, instead of us always trying to prepare ourselves for the worst, I want us to learn how to speak life into our situations. And although it can be, very difficult because we may be used to things being a certain way, especially work, and I'm using work as an example because I feel like a lot of people can relate to the stressors of work, especially in corporate, but just learning how to respond versus how to react. We don't always have to be in fight mode. We don't always have to feel like we're stressed and our shoulders are up to here, or we always have to respond to every single thing that's being thrown at us. Everything really doesn't deserve a response. It just doesn't. And I'm slowly but surely learning that. And I do want to say this because I know some of you are very new to my channel, but when I used to do my podcast way back when, I always say anything that I talk about on my podcast and now on my YouTube channel is things that I've either dealt with or I'm currently going through and I'm processing everything. So I always share like real stuff, and 9 times out of 10 it's usually always in real time as I'm processing whatever season that I'm in. So yes, I understand when you go to certain environments, you're already like tense, you're ready for impact. And I want us to operate differently. I want us to wake up in the morning, if you can, earlier, whatever your schedule is, really. I don't know everyone's schedule, but whatever your schedule is, if you are able to wake up early before everyone else in your house gets up or before you have to go to work or log in for the day or whatever your situation is, I want you to learn to just take time for yourself. Last week we talked about holding space. That's what it's all about. It's really just being self-aware and holding space for yourself. So just remember to hold space. So if you got to get up in the morning earlier than normal, even if it's an extra 10 minutes, start small. You don't have to start big and wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning if you know that's not realistic for you. But start small. Give yourself an extra 15 minutes in the morning to just either breathe, read your Bible, have a cup of coffee, water, tea, whatever it is that you need to do to hold space for yourself in the morning. So when you do go to work or when you do log on for the day or whatever you're doing for that day, you're not already tense and ready for impact. You're already calm, you're already regulated. You've prayed, you've had whatever beverage you like in the morning. I'm a coffee drinker, so I'm drinking coffee. So just do what works for you. Just remember to hold space. And you guys are going to hear me talk about holding space probably through every or almost every video that I'm going to post on this YouTube channel because it is very, very important. And I feel like we all need a reminder because we are so busy when it comes to work, school, family, career, whatever the case is. So always hold space for yourself. So getting up early, when whenever you get that email or that text message or that phone call that instantly makes you just want to react, take a minute and process your emotions. It's okay to be angry, but don't respond when you're angry. Let's take a minute, take a deep breath, again, holding space for yourself, being self aware of what you're feeling. It's okay to acknowledge what you're feeling. It's okay to acknowledge that you're angry or you're frustrated right now, but don't respond in that anger and in that frustration because it's going to produce the outcome that you probably do not want. So please just make sure you are holding space for yourself by processing your emotions because by the time we're done being angry, the thoughts that we had in that moment of anger is probably gone, and your response to whatever got you angry or frustrated in the first place is going to be different because you're not angry like you were previously. So, again, waking up earlier in the morning, holding space for yourself. When you get a email or a text message or phone call and you are instantly frustrated or angry, process your emotions. Take time out, take the deep breaths, process your emotions. And if you got to let it sit for a while, let it sit for a while. It's okay to let it sit. You don't always have to respond back right away, you know? And it gets to a point where when you're always in fight mode and you're always stressed and tense, your body gets used to that tension, and now you're walking around with your shoulders like this, your posture is not good, you're getting headaches, your blood pressure is high, pupils are dilated, your heart rate is always going, and then we start talking about anxiety. So to reduce that, we have to make sure we're processing our emotions and not always ready for impact. And the third thing that I want to talk about when it comes to fight is changing your language. Like, yeah, you may not like that job right now. That's okay. We've all been there before. But don't go in there saying, oh, this is going to be a bad day. Oh, this person is here today. You're already bracing yourself for impact. You're already in fight mode because you're already waiting for that one person to say something to you. And it doesn't just have to be at work, it could be anywhere. You're already waiting for something bad to happen. So we have to learn to change our language before we go into any environment. We are responsible for us. We need to learn to command our day. We need to make the choice to enjoy our day because when we're going in there already in fight mode, we're already ready to pop off. You know what I mean? So you're not regulated. You're already angry. Nothing even happened yet. And you're already angry. We don't want that. We want to walk in relaxed. We want to walk in peaceful as we can be. And we're going to command our day. We have the choice to either walk in there happy or at peace, or we can walk in there already angry, exerting all of that energy, and it's unnecessary because nothing even happened. But because we already feel a certain type of way about something or someone, we're already in fight mode and ready to react whenever they say something or whenever something happens. So remember to hold space for yourself. That's always going to be my number one go-to is hold space for yourself. Process your emotions. Don't respond right away. And change your language. Let's change how we view things. Let's change our perspective. When I used to host my prayer calls, one of the things that I used to always encourage all of the women was when you're praying and you're in a situation that you don't want to be in, ask God to shift your perspective. You know, His thoughts are not our thoughts, His ways are not our ways, right? So asking God to really shift your perspective and see things His way because He may see something, down the line, or you may be in the season because He's trying to teach you something. So just making sure that you take the time to learn to change your language, and that will start to shift your perspective. Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about fight. Now I want to go into flight. So flight is when you're faced with, some type of threat and you run from it, you know. And I want to talk about this because a lot of us have been running from our purpose. um, one thing in my quiet time, one thing that I was thinking about was I don't like talking at all. Like, I don't like the way my voice sounds. Like, when I started my podcast, I fought God a lot when it came to doing this podcast, right? So I had to really pray every day and ask God, like, give me the strength to start this podcast because I didn't like hearing myself talk. I don't like being on camera. I don't like being in the forefront. Like, I can do things behind the scenes, but I don't like being in the forefront. So of course now I'm doing a YouTube channel because I'm being obedient to what God is saying, and that was something that I ran from. So I want to encourage you today that you don't always have to run from things. You don't have to live a life of fight or flight. You don't have to. You have the choice to make a difference in your own life. We always have a choice. We wake up every day with a choice. So I just want to encourage all of you today watching that you do not have to live your life in fight or flight. You got to hold space for yourself. You have to regulate yourself by processing your emotions. And that really means being self aware because sometimes we're not aware of our triggers. So being self aware and knowing what your triggers are very, very important in learning to not always be in fight or flight mode. All right. So again, I want to encourage you all to change your language. That's probably outside of holding space. That's probably the most important part is changing your language. And that's something that I have to learn every day. It's not something that you just learn in a second. You really have to, it's a journey, it's a process. It's something you really have to practice every day. Just like if you want to build muscle, you go to the gym and you work those muscles. It's the same thing when you're trying to change your language. And it's so important because it does shift your mind. It all starts with your mindset. It all starts in your mind. So that's all I have for our topic today. I hope that it helped you. I hope I wasn't all over the place. I am slowly but surely getting back into doing this. I haven't done this in so long. So I just pray that it blessed you and it helped you. Don't forget to subscribe and share if this resonated with you or if you know anyone else who needs to hear this. So I will see you all next week with our new weekly reset.